Welcome back to the Ben and Wrench YouTube channel. Guys, it's S10 time. I know the last time you seen it was pulled in, we spun it around, so we got more real estate to do some work. So we're gonna start off, obviously we're gonna get the boring stuff done. We're gonna get the motor pulled out, the tranny pulled out, hood off. I was really debating on pulling the whole front clip. I mean, guys, that opens up a ton of room getting the whole front clip out of the way, but I don't know. I may just pull the core support. So we're gonna see how that goes. I know we got some 13s here. We got our bumper bolts and a couple things like that. Because ideally, I mean, remember, we are gonna turbocharge this and we are putting an LT in there, and honestly, their valve covers are kind of goofy. So I don't know how the hell that's gonna work. But I know that if I leave the fenders and the fender liners in when we start to build our turbo manifold, or we buy one, or whatever we decide on that aspect of things, we want the fender liners in. And we want as much stuff that's gonna be there to be there. So I know we're gonna get a non-AC heater box. We'll probably go out to Wolverton's and grab one, our junkyard buddy. We'll get rid of that stuff. Obviously ECM gone. Coolant reservoir don't mean shit, that can go anywhere. So let's get started. Well, this is our first time going into this truck, so I figured I'd bring you guys along for this. We're going to show you, hopefully, why we appreciate a Southern vehicle. So, I mean, yeah, it's got some grime and stuff like that, but man, oh man, not bad so far. Got a little fuel. I mean, we won't be using that fuel line by all means, but I mean, the frame, the floors are freaking mint. Dang, Flowmaster, what? Probably a knockoff one, you know, that's how we roll too, so. Freaking factory donut, hell yeah. That's interesting. Piece of angle iron and some, you know, some cable clamps. Starting to make sense now. Let's see, still got the 7.5, which we knew that. But look at the backing plates, these things are freaking mint. Not bad so far, guys. Yeah, we're just gonna, biggest thing we wanted to start under here, we're gonna go ahead and cut the exhaust. Still got the kitty. Looks like an aftermarket though. That sucks, might get gypped a couple bucks that way, but you know, drain all the fluids out, you know, just so we don't have that mess. You guys kind of know the basics on pulling this crap out, so I won't drag this kind of shit out too long. But I wanted to show you underneath. Like I said, I haven't been underneath this truck either, so definitely pleased with what I see. Definitely worth the purchase. Something else I wanted to share real quick. I ended up picking up a Transdap Transcross member too. I think it was like $100. I think a super good price. Or yeah, well, you know, Transdap Headman, they're all like sister wives or whatever. But so yeah, got a mount and a freaking spacer. Totally worth it. You know, because realistically, we don't have the hump. Like the G-Force ones are super legit. But we're gonna go turbo, so we're probably gonna have the exhaust either over this, or we're gonna have it out the fender. We're gonna decide when we get to that side of things, but right now it's a basic swap. We're gonna go ahead and just start gutting this thing like we said. You'll see me cutting all the shit off and for you S10 2.2 5-speed swappers that are, you know, gutting these things. So the trans mount, we pulled that off. We undid the fuel lines back here, kept them there for now. Obviously, they're not gonna work for us when we go to turbocharge it, but at least they're there for, well, whatever reason. I pulled the shifter loose. It's just laying there. Yeah, I could probably pull the, you know, boot off and take it off the top, but we'll do that later, right? We're here, we got it. So motor mounts. One comes from the back, and then this one here comes from the front on the driver's side. And then we went and cut the exhaust off. And guys, back to the Southern thing. Look, that damn freaking push connect came right out, just like the rest of the fasteners. So now we're gonna lower it down, and then we are gonna start attacking the front clip. I think all we have from the bottom aspect, that should be all done. the front end. Take a look, guys. We got the everything undone from the chassis side anyways, from the wiring. So what's cool, right? Basically, we have one big master plug over on the driver's side, right under here. This power goes to a power distribution point right here. So that takes your main harness for the driver's side, and then we undid our power steering lines. And then on the passenger side, when I pulled the battery tray, same thing. Big plug, flop it over, and it's be just like stripping, you know, an LS truck or whatever. The whole harness is gonna come out with it, right? So if somebody wanted a standalone, I don't know why you would want a 2.2 standalone, maybe a dune buggy, maybe, you know what I mean? But like, it's not what we need. So we're gonna pluck it all out in one. Now we may, and you may see here soon. So this is your main power distribution point going inside. We'll do a breakdown when we get to that point, because we may need to piggyback a couple wires. I mean, we're running a Holly, so we're not gonna need everything, but we may need a, you know, a key hot, or I don't know, some sort of a, you know, ascending unit wire, something like that, oil pressure, whatever, we'll see. But that stuff there simplifies the hell out of this stuff, guys. We already did the fuel lines underneath. So realistically, I'm gonna get this grill removed. Next thing you know, this thing's out of here. And then hopefully, well, it's getting kind of late, but we're gonna try stabbing the new one in. I am missing a torque converter spacer. Ordered everything else, I forgot, I know. But hopefully here shortly we'll have that. But basically that's gonna go on the end of the snout of the torque converter. If you've done LS swaps before, either way, but sometimes in these situations you gotta have it. We're running a TH400. So yeah, basically the hub pilot extended, blah, blah, blah. You'll see when we get to that point. So let's get the front end off now. All right, so bumper, we got a couple Torx bolts. Then we'll come right out. There is a couple tie bars we undid earlier, kind of just support the side of the bumper. And then at that point, we got a couple 13s there and there. Whatever our body mount bolts are, look like 18s and 21s, something like that. And then we're ready to flip this thing forward. All right, grab your T50. Man, you guys, you gotta love this southern stuff. I envy my southern friends. That was Michigan, we would have broke all four of them. All right, so it should slide right off. Whoop, whoop, look at that. Well, friends, she's ready to come out. I got Dad and I got Gavin helping out now. So basically, we hooked up a chain, we unhooked everything. We flopped it all in the middle, like we talked about with the wiring harness, all that stuff. And something I did underneath, the transmission crossbar was there, but I actually took the tranny mount out. So it should slip and then drop, right? And then we should be able to right off the top. So that's the plan. Let's pull it out. All right, Sawzall time already. I know, right? We just got to it. So if you look down here, we're out of lift. Okay, so we're going to just cut this out of the way real fast, and then I'll allow that motor mount to pass that, because we're not using these anyways. Remember, we're going with some fancy swap mounts. We're going to show you here in a few. That, my friends, is a victory. One out, one ready to go in, right? So I wanted to show you what I was cutting earlier. You see me hacking with the old Sawzall. So you see these mounts here, the old 2.2 big block would sit right in there. Well, the old DeWalt, we flopped that out of the way, and then we proceeded to do the same here. Good enough for us. So I think I can show you the guys the motor mounts now. That was one thing that was asked And of course we're gonna show step by step of the important stuff, right? Nobody cares about me extracting junk like that. But, so what I bought, you know, because we're budget minded around here. I know, let's stick a $5,000 engine and use $30 motor mount. But that's how we do it, you know. So I got the cheapest eBay LS swap mounts. But you're like, Brian, you're putting an LT in it. And I'm like, I know. But let me show you. Hold on. So you know, I have not found a ton of LT support. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing this, to bring LT to you. And you and her over there too. But that's the reason. So, because realistically, I got a bunch of LSs we could have easily put in here. But you know why do that? Because that'd be simple, right? So let's be difficult and make things, you know, whatever. So, LS swap, eBay's finest, you know, eBay performance, motor mounts. So if you guys are familiar, these are a clone of the 2.8 motor mounts that used to come back in the old square S10s. The 2.8 was the common go-to mount because they gave you like a little mini clamshell. You know, Transdat made them for years. Well, now somebody else made them for LSs, right? But we're doing an LT. So then I'm like, shit, nobody makes an LS swap or LT swap one, right? So then I'm like, well, you know what? Let's go to our friends at ICT Billet who sells everything. And that part number is a, gosh dang, this thing never zooms. I'm sorry, guys. 551367 ICT Billet. And I'll put it in the description as well, of course. LS to LT adapters. So we're gonna put LT adapters on the block to convert it to LS, and then we're gonna put LS slider mounts to 2.8 knockoff mounts. And we're gonna put this motor in with that Transdat cross member I showed you earlier with my TH400. So let's start bolting stuff on and see what it looks like. So the greatest part is that these are like 80 bucks and the other kit was like 30. So you get what you get. Of course, these are our good friends at ICT Billet. So these are gonna bolt on to the factory location with some tapered Allen head bolts, right? And then these will go to our LS super sliders. Then we can both tranny up. And again, remember, we're missing the torque converter spacer, and so it's gonna have to come back out, which I hate doing that. I'd rather just stick it in once.
That's what she said.
That's the easiest thing, but okay. Let me bolt these down and show you the goods. All right, so you got your plates, you got your 6mm Allen, and then I always put a little thread locker on them. You can't be, you know, especially when you're making all the horsepowers. And realistically, guys, we're probably gonna tear these. Hopefully not. And if that happens, then maybe we'll look into, like, you know, a motor plate or something. But we're trying to get it together, and we're trying to do it on the budget-friendly side of things, because realistically, you could pick one of these up used for probably 1,500 bucks. Now, they've came down quite a bit. So let's go ahead and see if we can make magic happen. So we know these are going on permanently. And it says D for driver's side. I hope it says D for... Anyway. And just send her home. Okay, so super slider. You'll pick up on that I use these on pretty much all of them. I just question the integrity of the Caterpillar's lathe. It's better than mine, I guess. All right, so back to the old song and dance. So we got a ton of adjustability, because honestly, this thing is quite large. So I'm thinking we're gonna keep them loose like we did before on the LTD, and then on my buddy Bill's OBS truck, and then we're gonna set it in there, you know, in there, and then slide it back as far as possible. The biggest thing is too, since we got this SF5 bell housing, this thing is just freaking ginormous. I mean, that thing is like a whole whopping like 6 inches. A real 6 inches. And this dude here is gonna help us with that. I'm gonna show you guys a trick that I'm trying to do with the accessories, because I had a gentleman ask about power steering and stuff, and I got a trick up my sleeve. So when we get there, I'll show you. Have I done it before? Absolutely not. Did I think about it? For 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and see if we can get these married together and stick her in the hole. All right, I was a little premature. It happens, you know, I mean, you've been there before, right? So we're gonna go ahead and Dad kind of wire brushes. Guys, we are gonna clean this up. We are gonna pressure wash this, just not today. Today we wanna test fit that motor in. Remember, we don't have the torque converter spacer, or hell, there's not even a rear seal in it. But it's gonna work. So motor mounts, we're gonna get them bolted in. And then we got that transnap cross member I showed you earlier. So I'm gonna take it back in the air, zip that cross member out, the old one, put the new one in, put the motor mounts in, then we can stick her in the hole. That easy. I hope. All right, on a serious note, motor mounts, right? So they utilize 3 factory holes. So you use your factory bolts, or you'll find some that are the same thread pitch. You can kind of see what we got going on there. So this is the same as Gen 2, or Gen 1 S10, first gen. Some of the early ones did not have those nut certs already in there, right? So you're gonna have to go ahead and put a nut on the backside. Now we're fortunate enough to have the new style truck, and some of the later, like, I don't know, like a 91, 92 style, you know, them had them because, you know, they came with 2/8. So either way, they bolt right down. It's kind of the same if you're doing a small block Chevy mount, you know what I mean? Same Transdap kit, basically. So we're gonna go ahead and get them fastened down like we said, and get onto that trans cross member. All right, guys, so these holes, they normally use like a self-starting bolt right here. We don't, I mean, we have 2 of them, but I'm gonna go ahead and just tap these 3 holes that we need, and same on the other side. So they're just kind of meant for like a self-starting, yeah, jump, right? All right, let's get to her. All right, guys, I understand these probably aren't the best motor mounts for us to make some steam. So if you're gonna do some NA stuff and not crazy, it'll be fine. So we'll see what happens. But it's gonna show you how to do it, or at least try, right? It's gonna be glorious. What's worse gonna happen? Motor comes through the hood and make for a great video, right? Maybe? We'll see. All right, so one of the unsightly things that you have to do when you get into an S10, V8 swap, of course. So the pinch weld here has got to get out of the way. So that's when you get the old BFH out and then give her a couple swats. I know, it sounds haggard, but there's probably a more professional way that we're not gonna do. Yeah, so let's get to cutting and beating. So at the end of the day, guys, it's what you kind of get. What you'll do, or at least what I do, is I'll take seam sealer, kind of reseal that back up if there was anything that was compromised from doing it. Is it right? No. Is it the best way? No. Does it work? Abso-freaking-lutely. Guys, I don't know how I forgot this, but I just got these in, actually. They are my dummy injectors for the LT heads. So those are another ICT billet thing. I'll have the part number in the link below, or description anyways. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these slammed in real quick, and then there'll be another orifice that's plugged, so we're not worried about stuff falling down in here. So yeah, just a little motor oil in them seals. Or your lubricant of choice.
There's always time for lubricant!
Now you can always leave your direct injectors in there. But the one thing I've heard is that these things, I mean, essentially the old injectors, they're steel, they turn into basically a glow plug, and then you'll get all kinds of detonation issues and stuff. So if you're gonna run port injection, do away with them things. That's your best bet. And then you pretty much just kind of send them home. Like I said, they'll have a little bit of resistance and then they'll bottom out. Just like that. All right, I just gotta show you. I haven't seen something so damn beautiful since, well, I'm not gonna get myself in trouble. Of course, my wife is the most beautiful woman in the world, and my children are, you know, they're freaking awesome. So, on that note though, check this out. Look at that freaking FTI 400. Look at that, look at that. And there's the finished product of ICT billet adapters. And see, we put tape over the holes. We're not that silly. So you guys may or may not know this, but back in the day, you know, you had this top bolt on the LS. Well, on the LT, it's offset, right? How stupid is that? And then that bolt's not there. So we're still going old school. We're only running 5. We got 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4, 5. So this guy and this guy are no more. The reason, this is where that high pressure fuel pump little roller dude is, right? And this one there is where your head bolt is. So that's why it's not there. But it ain't gonna make a difference, guys. 5's gonna be more than enough. And realistically, the rotational force is really held up by your what? Your dowel pins, right? So we're gonna put these last couple bolts in. And this, in there. Would you look at that? It fits. Well, kinda. So, a couple things I want to show you. So this is my first time putting an LT, well, first off, in an S10. And I've only done one other LT. I put an LT4 in a 69 El Camino with a couple buddies of mine. We did one. So, this is freaking tight. Now, granted, we can move the motor forward a little bit. Our bell housing is tight. We knew that. The heater box, I got a little happy with the hammer. We're gonna try to run heat, yes, but we may run, well, obviously not an AC heater box or none at all, because obviously that one's gonna be a little drafty. So, motor mounts, clear, they're in, they work. The cross member is really freaking tight. So we're gonna take it up in the air, and we're gonna show you guys what we see. Because I think a little heat and beat will work. If it won't work, we may have to notch it and put like a piece of angle iron across the back. But how freaking sweet is that? I'm excited. I hope you're excited, because you're not. I'm just kidding. Let's get it up in the air and see what we're working with underneath. All right, so a couple things I noticed. So we're sitting on all oil pan because I can stick the whole flashlight through where our transmission mount is. And this transmission is right against. So I don't know, guys, because wait till you see this. So I mean, obviously you can see light through there, but on this side, that corner is obviously sitting on the frame. Now that's not a lot, I get it, but there's a lot of clearance here. I mean, this flashlight's easily, 6 inches, but I don't know what to do, because this thing looks like it's sitting 10 miles in the freaking air. I don't know. I'm almost considering, I would hate to pull that oil pan off because that's a lot of silicone, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I may have to. I may have to put a truck pan on there because the sump is too damn big. I mean, the sump has got to be 8-10 inches long. If I had a smaller truck sump, it would easily, I would hope, bring it down to maybe here. Even if it was down a little bit below, I'm not too worried about that. But this kind of sucks. But if I put a different pan on it, I wouldn't have to notch the frame, right? I got some thinking to do because I would love to see this engine come down. I mean, center of gravity, if we could bring this thing down and back, well, back, we're shot on back. We ain't going nowhere back, but she smashed right against it. But you can see that clearance I gave it, with the old grinder and the hammer, So I don't know, guys. I don't know. I guess we got some thinking to do. Tell me what you think. Let me know in the comments what you guys are, what you're thinking right now. Because if it came down, it would obviously take care of my 17-foot tall tranny mount situation. Yeah, not a bunch of spacers. So, I don't know. Let me lower it down. Let me find out what's up. Let me think about this for a minute. We gotta look at it. Because if I flip the mount side to side, see, the mounts are fitting good though. They really are. But we could easily, if we had to, we could drill the holes higher. Maybe I should see how I got some LT manifolds off a SS Camaro. So let me see how them fit real fast. All right, so I tossed the intake on just for some peace of mind, and that LS7 intake is gonna clear mint. So the height is there. Now I was looking at the heater core lines. They are really close. Now I could nib that off and make that work. But honestly, I think this motor needs to come forward a little bit, guys. I mean, I obviously want it back far, and I've seen smaller brake boosters, or maybe we'll get one of them adapters from Motion Raceworks and get rid of it. you know, and just go manual brakes, I don't know. I mean, worst case, this one coil won't fit. We'll just mount that coil over there in the corner somewhere, you know.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Let's put him over there. I don't know. So check this out. I got this manifold. These were, like I said, they're off a SS Camaro, a 2016, 17-ish. And, well, it don't fit yet. But you see the cutout here. It looks like it's going to wrap right around that steering shaft. Now, we're going to have to see later. Because that's getting to be that time. We've drug this video out long enough for you guys. We got the gist of it going. You kind of see it in there, so it will fit, right? I almost thought about even getting like LS valve cover adapters, because LS valve covers are a lot like shorter, shallower, however you want to word it, and do remote coils, because we're going to turbocharge it anyways. So I don't know yet. But on that note, guys, this is an LT in an S10. So, second gen. I know that Faster Problems did a twin turbo one a while back on a first gen. It was all-wheel drive and all that fancy stuff. But, yeah. So, here's a little information for you. Hopefully it helped. And hopefully you tag along for the next one. So, on that note, guys, we appreciate you. Make sure you like, subscribe, share all the good stuff. Have a good evening.